Good evening and welcome to Delight and Fright. I'm your host, Kat, and above me is the lovely Luna. Say hello, Luna.
Hello.
And today we have two very special guests. We have Jason Sheedy, writer-director, and Joshua Matthews, also a writer-director with Heebie-Jeebies Pictures. And they're going to talk to us today about some of their films that they've had already do amazing at the film circuits and some that they may have coming out later and why they do what they do. So let's get started.
All right. Well, thank you very much for having us.
You're
we
welcome.
appreciate this.
Of course. How is everybody's day going this evening?
Much better now that my dog's kind of chewed her broken nail off.
Oh,
I can see her back there.
Is that her passed out in the background?
Yeah, she's had a rough day.
Aww.
Should have gave her some CBD. Will really help her out.
Mellow her out. Yeah. What about you, Jason? Anything going on this evening?
Nope. Just wrapping up a night of work Friday tomorrow, so that's exciting. But happy to chit chat about horror movies. So here we are.
Hey.
Yeah. Happy early, I guess, Friday Eve. So I'm excited to kind of talk about this. And first question that I kind of have for you guys is, how did you come up with Heebie-Jeebies Pictures, and how did you and Jason, Joshua, how did you guys connect?
Yeah, well, we met in Savannah, Georgia. We both went to the Savannah College of Art and Design, and we kind of crossed paths through mutual friends, worked on a few short films together then, and just kind of kept in touch throughout the years. And then I think it was probably 2019-ish, we decided to write something together and hopefully to make it in 2020. But then 2020 happened. So that put a damper on everybody's life.
I know.
But then, and Jason, you can jump in anytime. I'm just giving the cliff notes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the feature that we wrote together was an anthology film. The idea was we were going to have we've all kind of run in the same circle of friends since college. So that's kind of how we've known each other, and we all liked working with each other then, and we still like working with each other now. So, but we had written this anthology called Heebie-Jeebies, and it was about a podcast, about a podcaster, and sort of that was like the framework for these different stories. And we just kind of fell in love with that name and knew it would be something someday, but weren't sure what it would be. Like the anthology is still something that we may do. It just at the time, obviously with COVID and everything kind of fell apart, and we kind of refocused on some things. So, but yeah, that's how the name came about. That was something that we wrote with another collaborator of ours named Brett Brooks. And yeah, Kyle Steinecke is the other member of Heebie-Jeebies, and he produces all the films, and he's sort of, again, somebody we met at school. So yeah, we've kind of just had this same group that we've been curating and developing and meeting new people on the way, especially at film festivals. We've had the chance to meet a lot of really cool filmmakers and work with some new people. So
that sounds really awesome. We have Azza in the house showing some love, saying hello. Hello, Azza. Thank you so much for joining us this evening as everybody kind of trickles in. What was your very first movie that you guys have worked on together as a production company?
That was a two-parter. That was that was a long weekend where we decided to get the team together and produce two films, one that he wrote and directed and one that I wrote and directed. And that was It Draws Closer and To Hell With You.
Nice.
Okay.
2 weeks. Both those?
3 days, two films, same cast, same crew, two completely different movies.
Yeah.
Wow.
Both, I was gonna say one set in modern times and one set in the 70s. So we literally prepped for Josh's film on a Friday, shot his on Saturday, and then switched over the room on Sunday to a 1970s room, and then shot that Monday, Tuesday. So it was all done in my house. So my wife was very gracious in letting us film in our master bedroom for like 3 days. And like there, it was horror movies. So that there was the 70s scene had some blood in it. Like the very first shot of our shoot, it was like we were shooting blood on the wall. and like we couldn't move it for continuity. So like my poor wife and I are just like sleeping at the end of the day. We just put like a plastic sheet over the bed, and there's just like, you know, bits of brain and stuff. I'm like, I love you. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Just a little role play, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're like, we'll
fine.
never
I love
film
you to
another
death.
movie here again. You know, it's fine. And then we filmed another one like 6 months
Yes.
later. So low budget. Yay.
Yeah. Well, peroxide does wonders on. I probably shouldn't self-incriminate, but you know, oxygen peroxide, a little bit of.
This episode brought to you by Oxygen.
And the gore was very nice, and to hell with you. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys go to school for some of those practical effects, or was it just kind of?
No,
did
I
it
think
kind of come to you, or?
Jason's kind of the mastermind of our practical effects. He's self-taught, I think.
In high school I had like a weird, in my mind was all over the place when I was a kid as far as what I wanted to do. At first I wanted to get an animation, like hand-drawn animation, and then I wanted to do special effects, and then that eventually led to just like filmmaking in general and fascination with horror. But there was like a show on Discovery Channel called, it was like Mega Movie Magic or something, that kind of like got me into like the behind the scenes stuff, and that's kind of what got me into. And I am not a special effects guy. It's just more so like again, like with the low budget thing, it is something I enjoy doing, and I have a lot of fun like experimenting and exploring, you know, how we can pull things off. But it's more so like, hey, if I can handle this, you know, then we can obviously like do some stuff maybe that we couldn't afford to do. So it's trying to just like learn how to figure out maybe some creative ways to pull that off and hope it doesn't look terrible.
No, it looked great, and with no budget, you gotta have to be a jack of all trades, so to say. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely that way too. I still don't know what I want to do. I have my full-time job, but as far as creative wise, you know, little writing here and there and things like that, and I love doing special effects as well. I'm a huge Savini fan. I just love getting all up in the gore.
Can I tell you a fun story about Savini?
Yes, absolutely.
My brief. Have you ever had the chance to meet him?
Yes, he's so sweet.
He's so
relaxed
sweet.
and like shy. And I just wanted to just give him a big hug, but I didn't want to weird him out, you know?
Oh, sure. Well, you already have a cooler story than I'm about to tell because you've actually physically met him. But I did this zombie movie out of high school called Dead Winter. Very ominous. But I'd been watching commentaries for all the Romero movies, and that's, you know, trying to pick up, you know, tips and things. And I had sent him an email, and it was like, you know, such and such at Yahoo. And because he actually like had his email out, at least from what I remember. Maybe I'm glorifying this in my brain. But he actually emailed me back, and I like sent him a copy of the film. And I like to think that he received it and promptly threw it in the trash.
Aww.
After he saw the makeup, and he was just like, keep trying. Now, everything I've heard about him is that he's a super cool dude. So that's really cool that you guys have met him. And it seems like you guys have met, not to completely segue, but I mean, just even this profile picture, you guys posing with John Carpenter is pretty awesome there.
Oh
Big
yeah.
fan.
Yeah,
I love the face he's making too, like, oh, these girls.
So
Again.
He just wants to smoke and play video games, you know?
he is a mastermind, a genius, and we love him for that. I say this with the most respect for him as a creator, but he's very old and grumpy. So when we met him, we did kind of get that
Sure.
old and grumpy, and I want to go home. Like, why am I here? So yeah, I think it was the opposite from Tom Savini, and it was definitely the opposite from Ted Raimi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ted Raimi was very personable. He complimented me because I had a Frankenstein shirt that glowed in the dark, and he was like, "Oh, that's really cool," you know. And we started talking about glow in the dark stuff, and then we took our picture. And you could have a conversation with him, but definitely John Carpenter was a little harder to kind of get that personalized conversation.
Right to be, you know?
Yeah.
And he doesn't really do much of that stuff. So we were really excited to get the chance.
At least we got the chance. And I mean, personable or not, he's still a genius, you know. And we met we were very fortunate, Kat and I, that we have met a few people in the field, and always networking, always looking to meet more and make new memories. But who's the coolest that you guys have met?
Oh wow.
I've got one, Josh, but you go ahead.
I think it was during the Savannah days. I met Oliver Stone while he was down here for the Savannah Film Festival, and we met him at a bar. And he was already 3 sheets in the wind. And I just wanted a photo with him because I grew up watching Natural Born Killers and Scarface, and I was like, just want to meet the guy. And and he just started yelling for peyote in the bar. It's like, who has peyote? And then you look at us like, you want a photo? Come over here. We got a photo. And I asked him a question because we just had left a talk with James Cromwell, who was in his film W. And I forgot the story, but I said, James Cromwell said this and this and this. And he looked at me and he started poking me in the chest. He said, James Cromwell's a effing liar. I never did that. I was like, cool. And I got a photo that's really blurry because everybody in that bar was drunk and couldn't focus. But that was my favorite.
But you have a story. Meeting. And did he get the peyote? Don't leave me hanging on.
He did not. He did not. And he was talking to me, and he looked at my friend Adam, who's a very handsome fellow, and he's like, "You're a good-looking guy. Do you act?" Just ignored me completely because no hair.
Oh,
you're a handsome.
This guy has this beautiful head of hair, and he doesn't even act anymore.
All your beautiful hair is down here. It's fine.
Yes.
Yeah. The beard. It's all in the beard. It's all in the beard.
I'm all about the Patrick Stewart look. I'm all about it.
There you go.
Oh yeah,
that's a good comparison. Actually, I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, you do have a rather dashing Patrick Stewart vibe going on.
I would take that. Fattest since I was 5.
He has been bald since 5. Yeah.
What about you?
I have 2. If I can.
Oh yeah, take it away.
One is. I mean, as far as like something being very horror adjacent, we had a film called The Reclaimers play at Screamfest a couple years back, and I went to another film where Barbara Crampton was in it, and she was actually there at the screening. So after the film, everyone's piling out, and tons of people are saying hi and stuff, and I'm just very awkward, just like waiting for that. That I'm one of those people where I don't really like to bug them. Like, I know that half the time they're just trying to, in those situations, it's like they're trying to get out and go home or whatever. But I was like, I can't not say hi at least. So I waited for a stupid amount of time, and then awkwardly finally went up and just said, hey, I don't want to bug you. I just wanted to say I grew up on your movies, Reanimator, From Beyond, those things. And I just, you've been a horror icon in my eyes and since I was a young kid. And she was very sweet, very accommodating, like asked about the film we had in there. And then I didn't even ask for a picture. She was like, let's take a picture. I'm like, man, this could not have been any more perfect. So she was very sweet. And then I'm in Atlanta, and a friend of ours named Kim, whose production designed one of our films, she was working on Baby Driver here in Atlanta when Edgar Wright was shooting. So she found out he was at a bar, and she pulled one of those, like, have you met so-and-so? And like, no, whatever, just like literally walked me up to him and goes, hey, Edgar, have you met Jason? Just like left me. And we had like a nice conversation. And Hot Fuzz is one of my like all-time favorite movies. And I love Shaun of the Dead and the Cornetto trilogy in general. But so just getting to kind of talk with him a little bit. We had just released our first feature horror thing. So he was kind of gracious about, giving me that, like, it's all good. Don't worry too much about what people think and keep making movies. So.
Aw, that's really, really awesome.
Yeah, he's very cool.
Kat, do you have a story? I have one, but
go ahead.
Okay, so back in 2014, when the fantastic Sid Haig was still alive, I was at a convention in Los Angeles. I am from Los Angeles. I lived there for about 20 years. So it was like, believe it was Midsummer Scream. If you guys have never been to that convention, it's probably the best convention that I've personally ever been to. I love Midsummer, and I do love, there's another Monsterpalooza as well. Very, very big in that, especially if you're like effects and stuff like that. They do a lot of prosthetics. Well, anyway, I was a college student at the time. I didn't have a lot of money. I just had enough to pay for my ticket. And I didn't realize that Sid Haig was there, and I was a huge fan. Loved The Devil's Rejects. And I passed by his booth. I said hello, and he's like, "Oh, do you want a picture?" And I was like, "Oh, I would. I'd love to, but unfortunately, I'm a college student and I can't afford it right now. But I appreciate, you talking with me." He's like, "Oh, it's fine. Just come here. Just come here." So he just said, "Oh, it's fine." And then his handler was like, "You need to charge this person." He's like, No, leave it alone. Just come here." So he ushered me to, like, there was nobody there waiting for him anyway. So we got a picture, we got a nice chat, and he was probably the nicest human being I've ever met, because he understood, okay, huge horror fan, college student, doesn't have a lot of money. So he was very, like, super down to earth, and yeah, and I have that memory of him. So
What a gem.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
really
yeah.
special to have that. Nice.
he was such a nice guy, and I'm
Yeah.
kind of shocked that not more people were waiting for him.
I was gonna say when
Yeah.
you said that, I was like, wait, what? Nobody was there?
There was a lot of people, but he didn't have a lot of line. They kind of
Sure.
stuck him at the like where the celebrities are usually. They put him,
Mhm.
he was like at the back row towards the wall, and I'm like, okay. And I still even remember the placement. That's how, like, special that moment was. So yeah, very
Aw.
special. So, and I still have that picture, by the way. It was a nice, a very nice picture of us.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
So what about you, Kat? You meet anybody cool?
Mine was, I was at the Joe Bob Jamboree in Vegas, and I was waiting in line to get my photo with Joe Bob and Darcy, and I brought my Chihuahua with me, my little Chloe, and she's 14 years old. She passed soon after that.
No.
But while I was there, Linnea Quigley just walked right past me, and then she just froze when she saw my Chihuahua. When she saw Chloe, she just froze and just, "Oh my gosh, can I pet her?" And then we were just having a whole conversation about dogs in general and Chloe, and I would just enjoyed talking to her so naturally, and she was so sweet and so kind. And I didn't get a picture or anything because I was holding the Chloe, and it was just really nice to, to see that she was so sweet and kind and loved animals so much. So that was just a great moment for me, and I remember it because she was with my little best buddy, my Chloe.
That's a great memory. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great memory. So believe it or not, Kat, there is a reason why she talked to you about Chloe. She is my hero. She is actually a activist for animals, and she is currently has a animal rescue. If you go to linequigley.com, you can see all about her animal rescue. So that's why she probably was like, "Oh, I got dogs," because she's a dog lover. On her picture, you see she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dogs with her in one photo. So huge dog lover, huge animal lover. So that does not surprise me that she definitely stopped to give Chloe some love. She's such an awesome person. And that's what we love to see, actors, actresses doing good things out in the world, not just, acting and,
using that legacy to put some good.
To put some good into our world. Speaking of legacies, I want to ask you guys a deep question.
Sure.
With the movies and stuff that you're creating, what kind of legacy do you guys want to leave behind?
That is a deep question.
Jason, you take this one.
It's interesting. I feel like, at least from where we're at right now, because we've obviously done short films. I've only done just like one real low budget indie feature, and we learned a lot from it, and have kind of continued just to keep learning and trying to sort of find that balance of, like, making stuff that we first and foremost enjoy doing, because we always have a quote between us, that the day that we stop enjoying it is the day we stop doing it, because we're not in this for really any other reason other than the fact that we just like telling horror stories. Like, that's what made us get into it as a kid. There's no money or real advantage as a child running around your neighborhood with fake blood all over your friends, other than just enjoyment. So we've tried to carry that through to our adult years, and even with the company, and just something that is really fun to do after a long day. We both have full-time jobs, we have day jobs, so then it's doing things like this, after getting done, making dinner, and then hopping on podcasts to talk about horror movies, or opening up the laptop and writing a spooky story to film next week or whatever it is. But I think as far as legacy is concerned, I think for me personally, it's more about just like putting work out there, because I think something that I sort of struggled with after we had done our feature was I kind of waited again, like I was waiting around for that sort of perfect moment, with the perfect cast, perfect script, and I wasn't making things. I was writing, but it was just sort of living on my computer. And I think one of the things that Josh and I started doing was just, we started small again with the short film. So it's just the idea of being able to sort of make some fun shorts, have a good time, and hopefully they're impactful in one way or another, even if it's just for a quick scare, or maybe there's some deeper meaning to some of them that somebody gets something out of. But just being able to make those things and put them out in the world so that somebody could see them and benefit them, even if it's just as simple as being entertained for a few minutes, that to me is kind of what I'm in it for. So
Aw, that's so nice. We had a viewer comment, Sid is the best. I exclusively use my Captain Spaulding koozie when I'm live.
Oh, perfect.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah, we love Sid around here. He's awesome.
He is the best.
What about
So-
you? Oh, go ahead, Kat.
So, gentlemen, where do you want to see the horror film industry in the future? Like, what are your hopes for it? And we'll start with Joshua. Where do you kind of want to see things go with horror films?
That's great question. I think that horror is having a really, really nice resurgence right now, both in bigger studio pictures and lower budget indie films. So I'd just like to see that continue to grow. I'm not somebody who gets hung up on what kind of horror is qualified as horror. Like if it is like elevated horror or 80s practical effects horror, or what the Megan movies where it's like kind of TikTok horror. It's all just horror to me. So I'd like to just see more stuff, more original ideas come out. And I'd like to see movies that bring a younger generation in. I think that gateway horror is a really important genre that doesn't get produced a lot. Something that younger generations can kind of get into. I know back when, I'm dating myself, but in the 80s, when I was watching horror
in the
movies,
1920s,
in the 1900s, I watched a lot of adult horror films, and that's what got me into the genre. But there was also some younger kind of kids horror, Gremlins and The Gate, and just kind of weird stuff for kids, right? And Critters.
And
I want to see more
Invaders
stuff
from Mars.
Yes.
Freaking love that.
So it's like a lot of good stuff that every age group could watch, and it wouldn't be too wild. It wasn't The Exorcist. It wasn't The Shining. It's just kind of just this gateway. I'd like to see more horror like that, and I think that they've done that with like Megan. I think that brought a lot of Gen Z into horror. I'd like to see some of that grow.
Yeah, there is one movie, I cannot remember the name of that movie right this second. But it was I think it was something clown something. And it's like the beginner horror.
It's like Clown in the Cornfield.
Yeah. Clown in the Cornfield. That's what I want to see more of.
What a great title.
mm-hmm.
I haven't watched that one yet, but
you
I'm
know
really
exactly what
to.
you're getting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet either, but I do want to.
I think it's awesome simply because it's like the starter pack of horror movies. It's like if you want to get into vampire novels, you may start with Anne Rice and kind of work your way outward. So it felt very much like this is like your beginner. You get kind of some of those horror movie tropes.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's like a person that's not super into horror. It's like putting the training wheels on them so they get used to the horror movie tropes. And if you're like super hardcore into horror, it might be very difficult to say, oh, this movie sucks, but you don't want to gatekeep horror.
No.
So That's very important for new audience members to be able to slowly get into it. You're not
Yeah,
going to
not
start
everybody.
someone.
Terrifier does not need to be somebody's first scary clown movie. You know?
Yeah.
He needs baby steps into this genre.
Yes. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That's also
Oh,
a
yeah.
I
really
was just
good
about
one.
to say, I love and a banging title track by the Dickies. It's still my favorite horror movie.
Oh yeah.
The soundtrack.
And a lot of people aren't, into all the gore and the blood, which is fine. It doesn't necessarily need that to be terrifying. Like we don't really see much blood at all in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's just all those little innuendos and things that what you can imagine is happening is sometimes more terrifying than what you can actually put together. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's why I think I like Psycho so much. It's so much buildup, and they never
Psycho's
really
such
show.
a brilliant movie. It's such a good movie.
It just transcends time. It's so good. I just love those elements. What kind of horror movies are you guys hoping to build in the future? Like, are you guys trying to do a zombie movie?
Sure. I'll say I think that what me and Jason keep going back to is that we want to make horror with heart. We just want it to mean something. We just want the characters to be something that you're kind of drawn to. As far as genres go, I kind of want to play in every well. I don't know. What do you got something that you're in love with trying, Jason?
Not necessarily, I think, and that's been part of like the shameless plug for the website. If you go to Heebie-Jeebies Pictures.com, we have some of our shorts up, and that was one thing we kind of tried to do was, we've got some horror comedy stuff. We've got some like sci-fi horror stuff that is like action, like stuff that's just very traditional, drama horror. So I think it's a lot of fun, especially in the short space, because you're getting an opportunity to kind of like try things out in a little bit lower stakes. You're not investing as much time and money, and you're just you get to try it as opposed to like having to bank it all on a feature and hope it works. It's like, let's write a nice, 5 to 10 minute short film that, we can then also take to festivals and sort of network that way too. So the short stuff has been a lot of fun because it's been a chance to kind of try a little bit of everything. It's kind of the difference between like ordering a nice expensive entree or like ordering like the appetizer trio, where you get a little bit of everything.
Yes,
I might be hungry.
Poo-poo platter, everything.
Exactly. It's the poo-poo platter of independent filmmaking.
I love it.
I'm about to order $300 worth of Taco Bell as we're talking right now.
Oh my God. Don't.
Right? Like why limit yourself, to a particular genre? And some of the best things I think is when the genres kind of bleed and you can't really put them in a particular genre. Like I just have my movies just alphabetical. Like I went crazy trying to, is this comedy? Is this horror? Where am I going to put this? I'm just like, nope. First letter of the title, that's where it is, and then I have like all my Marvel universe type stuff all together. That's about it. Like it was just too much trying to separate everything.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
And I love, Joshua, how you say horror with heart, because that's really what I felt in To Hell With You was definitely, it had those horrific elements and comedy, but it was very endearing. The character, especially the demon, that possessed the individual in the film, still had heart, and I love that about it. And I hope I'm allowed to talk about Tapestry. Tapestry, is that how you say it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good.
It's hard not to spoil short films when there's only like 4 or 5 minutes of content to talk about.
Yeah, I don't want to, but that one really got me. Like, it takes a lot to scare me. I don't scare easily. And that one, like, it got me. Like, I knew it was coming, but it still got me. It's just like you knew it was not going to be good. But
yeah.
But and the meaning behind everything, and you let the audience kind of make their own conclusions without giving anything away. I just thought it was beautifully done.
Appreciate that. Thanks so much.
Real quick, I wanted to ask you, for Tapestry, did you also feel like it's coming, but the way it like came, you were like, wait, what? Whoa.
Yes.
Was
yes.
it like you just didn't expect it, but it was kind of cool too?
Yes.
It was
It was
like
just the dread. The dread was building. The dread as far as the situation and what happened, as well as what was actively happening. It was kind of like a multi-layer
yeah.
situation you found yourself into.
It was like a kind of an onion. You got to peel all the layers, but there's more layers and there's more layers, and you're like, oh my god.
I love a spooky onion. No,
Uh.
we're both admittedly big Hitchcock fans too. I mean, the classic quote,
Um,
there's no fear in the bang, only the anticipation of it. I think we both try to
Yeah.
write that way. Because don't get me wrong too, I love like a good like kind of like punchline horror where there's like a little bit of like a riser and then there's a good jump scare, and we all love a good jump scare from time to time. But I think there's a lot of fun to be had, especially nowadays. I mean, you hear the term slow burn a lot, where it's just this like you establish a sense of dread and then you're just kind of riding that the entire movie, and it's like it almost like leaves you like you're hoping for that big payoff, but at the same time you're sort of getting that rush the entire time. And that's something I feel like a lot of modern horror filmmakers have really kind of leaned into, and in some ways for budgetary reasons, but also I think there's just like, I mean, again, you hear the term like elevated horror, like there's like this, what going off what Josh is saying too, like gateway horror, elevator, it's all sort of like a mishmash of things that are making it more accessible for people. I feel like that maybe weren't into horror, that didn't watch Evil Dead when they were 12 and fall in love with claymation and or like stop motion demons falling apart. But yeah, I don't know, there's just some cool stuff with that, I think.
yeah, absolutely. I know you guys briefly touched on the film festival. I know there was a mention of that. So where can our people find your movies right now at a film festival?
Sure. We have It Draws Closer is going to be playing at the Chattanooga Film Festival June 21st. And then it will be in Dances with the Films in LA on June 28th. And then Jason's To Hell With You is playing in Ravenheart if you find yourself in the Netherlands.
Oh,
if you're in Norway, just swinging through, go check out
Norway,
that.
yeah.
Really cool film.
And then where we at? Pennsylvania, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. For To Hell With You.
oh,
So the Southside Film Fest in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and then the Sidewalk Fest in Alabama for It Draws Closer.
It Draws Closer in August. And then we get we have some more to announce TBD.
we always love the upcoming stuff.
Yeah, if you're interested, you can follow us at Heebie-Jeebies Pictures on Instagram.
Ooh,
Nailed
yes.
it.
Nailed it.
How do you spell Heebie-Jeebies? How is that spelled? You could spell it many ways.
That is true, and we actually had to like decide on that because we're like, what looks better in a logo? But it's HeebieBiesJeebies.
Oh,
so I think our Instagram handle is literally that, right, Josh?
Well, take off the first S. Heebie.
Oh, Heebie.
Heebie-Jeebies.
Yeah.
It's late. It's okay.
Yes, I actually have I'm gonna screen share really quick. 1 second. So if you go to Heebie-Jeebies you will see the films. If you click on films, it will show you all the movies. And let's say you would like to see a little bit more about Hell With You, it'll have the trailer. You can read up on where it's played, where it's been. Have some nice pictures of the, of stills of the movie. So yeah, you can go check them out. You can read about them. Very, very nice.
There's Kyle. There's our buddy Kyle.
There's Kyle.
Aww.
There he is.
Blow your kiss,
yes. Aww. And you can also read the transmissions, and you can contact them if you I don't know if you're an actor. I'm not sure for what
Just
reason,
say hey.
but
Just let
Yeah.
us know
yeah, you're a
No,
fan and
No,
You're in
no
town.
dick pics. No, stop.
No, none of that. But if you're in town, you can buy me a beer.
oh, okay,
allow
yeah. They accept bribes with beer bribes apparently
They do.
for.
Beer and Taco Bell. We're simple people with simple needs. You know.
Aw, I love Taco Bell. You got me on that.
I do too.
I want a black bean chalupa if you're gonna order. Just send one my way, DoorDash, whatever, Uber Eats.
Deal.
Any plans
When
to expand the production company and maybe go into a little bit of distribution? Because I know that seems to be an issue for a lot of people.
Yeah, no, there's weekly chats about the future and how we're going to expand. We're taking some baby steps. We're trying to do a few more shorts this year. Get a couple of ideas that we have out on the ground, build the team out, just perfect what we have going on a little bit more, and then hopefully next year we're looking at feature territory, and then we'll see about expanding from there. But yeah, we're always talking about what's next for us. What can we do? How do we stay ahead of the curve? I don't know, Jason.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
What you said.
Let's make it up right now. Let's decide while Kyle's not here. We can just decide.
I think it's one of those things too where we're trying to find ways to very strategically these are things we know we can accomplish. Let's focus on that, and then keep the future in mind. And I mean, it's the same have our fingers in as many pies as possible, but stuff that is attainable, that we've been doing with shorts. Trying to up the ante, I think, in terms of quality and storytelling more so than anything. Trying to shoot with better cameras. Focus on if we have a Heebie's brand, the horror with heart thing, how do we sort of do that every time, but then also tell unique stories every time. So I think a lot of our efforts personally are more in trying to be better, tell better stories, and then figure out along the way if there's opportunities to do more of that in the feature space. So
awesome. We had one viewer write in Pennsylvania. When?
That's a very good question.
Let me look.
And then also wrote, "It's not a bribe, it's a gift."
Taco Bell is always a gift. Thank you. It looks like it is going to be.
I should have all these dates memorized.
It is this week. It is. Wait, when's June 10th? June 10th through the 14th.
That's next week.
Yeah, next week. There you go. But they are. It's Southside Film Fest on Instagram at Southside Film Fest. And I don't remember when our film is playing, but yeah, that's the To Hell With You is the horror comedy. The 70s horror comedy is playing at that. So you can check it out. I would love to. Yeah. I would love to know how it goes. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to make it to that one in person. So if you do happen to make it, let me know.
Are you going, Joshua?
No, not to this one. It's so tough to go to every one of these. When you're dealing with low budgets like we are, going to these festivals can cost as much as making a movie.
Yeah,
it's just it just adds up. We try to go to as many as possible, but I just moved, so I'm saving my money.
Yeah, you gotta pick your battles. You gotta pick your battles sometimes. Mm-hmm. Which one can you afford and can you justify? And if it's local or maybe
I do that a lot of the horror festivals are giving virtual options.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like the Chicago Horror Festival, I had to wait till the festival ended, and then they posted everything streaming for 3 weeks. So I have 3 weeks to try and catch them all. Yeah. So I do love that. And there was another one that I did as well. So some of them, not many though, surprisingly. I figured there'd be more doubles, more that I've already seen, but there's just so much content out there apparently, and it's really great work.
Yeah, I've appreciated the virtual component to a lot of these festivals. It definitely closes that gap for people who just can't attend. Hopefully, a lot of more festivals will adapt it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we'd rather have more eyes on it and I don't know, but it is a lot of fun occasionally getting to like meet the same people at festivals or see the same films. Like you end up feeling kind of like a band, like you're touring with, like, oh, you're playing there too, cool. I did. Sorry, I literally looked past the date as I was in here, but it plays Friday the 13th, which is
Nice.
Heck yeah.
perfect.
Ooh, what a
I've heard
great
tell that-
movie!
That's the only Friday the 13th this year. It's this
It
Friday.
is.
Spooky.
And you want to know something extra special?
I do.
It's somebody's birthday.
Jason Voorhees' birthday is actually June 13th.
Yep.
The perfect
So-
night to go to the movies.
It really is.
Yes. So it's just so phenomenal that this June happens to be Friday the 13th and it's his birthday.
That is wild. I didn't realize it's the only one this year too. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. A lot of magic is happening. So he was born just because I'm a freaking nerd. Jason Voorhees was born June 13th of 1946.
Okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know the year he was born.
He's
Is that
getting
one
up
of your
there.
favorite films? Are you just like love getting trivia, like gathering trivia for like horror in general? Or is that something you really enjoy?
I'm kind of a nerd. I like Friday the 13th. It's not my favorite. I prefer Halloween over Friday the 13th, but I like to know little like nuances. I don't know. It's a thing. I play a lot of D&D too, so it kind of helps.
Yeah, that's all right. I
Fun
tried.
facts.
I had a good time, but I kept getting killed. But I did play. I just beat Baldur's Gate 3 finally, so that was a good time. I don't know if you play that, but that's my D&D ish. But
So kind of to wrap things up, what can we expect from you guys in the future? Is there anything that you're currently working on that you can talk about, or what can we expect?
Well, Jason, is there anything that we can talk about? We're always writing. We got a couple. I know that there are a couple of shorts that we want to knock out this year that are still in that writing stage. And then there's a feature that we're writing, but it's also very early, so I'm not sure.
So tell us
what
a little
I'm
about
not sure
your
what it's going to be.
process.
The writing process. I tell people I'm writing, and then I go into my office and stare into the abyss.
that still
I
counts.
do that for about 3 months.
Yeah.
and then one day I just sit down and write.
And then one day there's a script, and you're like, "How did this?"
I wish that was a joke, but that's what it was. My wife's out of town this week, and I told her I was going to get some writing done, and I have in here. Nothing's on page yet, but it counts because one day I'll sit down and it will all come out.
Same.
And then when we collaborate, it's usually just writing a couple pages, passing it off, rewriting those pages, adding a couple of your own. We just do that until it's done, and then it's the polishing stage. We've only done a couple. We wrote Heebie-Jeebies, the anthology, together, but that was probably the only feature we wrote. We made a lot of shorts.
Yeah, I think writing wise, it's because the collaborator we mentioned earlier, Brett Brooks, he's written some stuff with Josh. He's written some stuff with me. I think our sort of goal is always to kind of at the end of the script, like it doesn't really matter who wrote what, and that's kind of where we like to be. Is like we've passed it back enough, and we've kind of been through it each enough that it's like I don't remember if you wrote this line or I wrote that line. Like there's no like weird, it just becomes like trying to find like what the best story is, and the classic like writing, drew enough drafts to the point where you hope it's good, and and then you shoot it and you change everything, and then you edit and you change everying.
I want to say you guys do an amazing job at casting as well. I mean, the actress that's in all 3 of the films that we watched she's just amazing. I mean, very talented.
Erin's fabulous. We keep talking about having to cast new actors because we use the same ones all the time, but we keep going back to the well because they're just so talented. And then there, it becomes a shorthand working with folks that you work with over and over again. But yeah, Erin, if there's any filmmakers listening to this, cast Erin, cast Brett.
Brett
don't
and
do
Aaron
it.
definitely are. Yeah.
Don't do it if they're working with us, but please cast them.
Check with us first. We have right of first refusal. Just kidding. We do not,
Oh,
So that's what the
no.
contact's for them to make sure you guys aren't using
Oh,
it.
yeah,
They can
yeah.
use it. There you go.
Yeah. It's like, hey, are you going to be using them this weekend? No? Okay, well, I'll get them this weekend.
No,
Yeah.
No, I feel.
mean,
Go
go
ahead.
no, go ahead.
Well, I think just with the horror community in general too, I feel like the horror community is such like a tight knit. Like it's sort of like finding your tribe, and like I think with horror filmmaking, it's the same thing. It's like once you sort of find those group of people you gel with, and you kind of get it. Like I feel like as a director too, like a lot of my work now is just like setting up the space for these, and then just letting them do their thing because they're so good at it. Like I don't need to go in and muck anything up. I just need them to do what they're good at. Especially To Hell With You, Brett Aaron and Andrew Bourne, who was the lead in that as well. Like they're just all so good and they're quick on their feet. Like there was quite a bit of improv that they were able to do that just worked because they like understood it and they did their homework, and we had the discussions beforehand. And that to me is one of the more fun things about filmmaking, is kind of like you do all this planning and obviously you need to do that, but then once you're like in the room and you're filming, then there can the magic happens and you can like let it kind of exist and be in the moment. And there's some really fun stuff I think that comes out of that. And that's always the most exciting part of that for me.
And you can be Frankenstein. It's alive.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
I love that. Well, thank you guys so much. Is there anything that you guys want to say before we sign off?
I don't know, Jason, have you mentioned the name of the website and Instagram yet?
Just yell it through the rooftops.
Let's see all the different wrong ways we could spell it.
Right. Yeah. H2. No, we have an Instagram, we have a website, we have a YouTube. It's all Heebie-Jeebies Pictures. And then that has like the films that we've currently released, and you can stay up to date with the stuff that we will release. We've got some more kind of like short stuff we're hoping to do within next year and eventually get to that feature. So we would love it if you want to join us in getting sweet updates every now and then, and maybe the occasional Taco Bell meme. We don't know.
Ooh,
Absolutely.
we love
It's
memes.
been a pleasure.
But yeah, thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having
You're
us.
so welcome. Thanks for joining us.
This has been great.
And we
Oh,
wish you much luck along your journey. And if there's anything we can ever do for you, just let us know.
Likewise. Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
yeah, and always remember to film from the heart, right?
Film from the heart. Even
Aw.
when you're disemboweling helpless victims at a summer cabin.
It still comes from the heart.
Yes.
Still comes from the heart.
Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you not next weekend, as we're preparing for Spooky Empire, and I'll be out of town. So, but the following week we're working on a collab with a guest. So stay tuned for more information on that.
And I'll see you guys at Spooky Empire. I'm going to be different cosplay each day, and I will have goodie bags for you guys with some keychains, snacks, and stickers. So horror-related fun stuff.
Yes. Who doesn't love keychains?
Right?
They're free.
Up.
If it's free, it's for me. Let's get it. See you guys at Spooky Empire.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, boils and ghouls. It's your old pal, John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper. And I want to thank you for listening to Delight and Fright with your hosts, Luna and Cat, a podcast for outcasts.